Okay? Indeed. What restrictions, if any, would you support or believe are necessary concerning New Hampshire's residents' free speech rights? In your response, please consider the impact of private firms, Facebook, Twitter, and so forth, de facto censorship, offensive words and actions, and campus free speech zones.
Thank you. We actually discussed this when I was on last time, and the reference was the Snyder-Phelps case at the federal level. And the Snyder-Phelps case showed that individuals who are out speaking freely can be as vile and nasty and as they want to be. And we need to draw a line. And that line is drawn when people take action or people start to influence or they start to do illegal activity. If somebody is making salacious comments or somebody is making false accusations, they need to be held accountable. When we start looking in the online forums that we're dealing with today, free speech has been pushed back to the front, especially when we take a look at the things that have come out in the news lately. And I'm not going to get into national level politics on that, but the ability for certain organizations to shut down all conversation, I think that's detrimental. But at the same time, we have a responsibility to communicate effectively. We have a responsibility to make sure that we engage respectfully. And it's up to us to find a way to be better, to find a way to have the hard discussions with respect for one another without having the emotional outrage and explosive pieces. So thank you.
Anita, this is now free and easy discussion. So,
okay, great, thank you. Thank you, Jim. I guess I would say that I think a lot of us, and Ray would probably agree with me, it's been really disappointing to see the level of vitriol that I think it started on a national level and has trickled down. And we see it all over the place. We see it on the news. We see it on social media, which has probably become a little bit too much part of our lives. And, I've actually been thinking about this a lot because when you're running for office, and Ray's experienced it too, people post things that are angry, that may be untruthful, that are hurtful. And, I'm sorry.
No.
Okay.
I'm just saying this is open.
We're supposed to be going back and forth. I didn't either. I was waiting for you to complete your remarks.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, sorry.
And I guess this is my feeling about it now, is that when somebody puts something out there, let the world see it. Let everybody see it, and people are smart enough to come to their own conclusions. I think there are limits. I had a gentleman several months ago who suggested that people come punch me in the face. That's not okay. I mean, I blocked him, and security was alerted at the State House. We draw a line with things like that when people are incented to go out and be violent. But, if somebody's saying something that's mean-spirited or whatnot, we have free speech, and, we're big kids, and we're running for office, and it's part of it.
One thing I would suggest, and I'm going to throw out a comment here, offensive words and actions are something that we really should come up with a way to deal with. And that's a leadership issue on both parties' side. For example, if a Republican is destroying Biden-Harris or Anita Burrow signs, I would condemn that.
Absolutely.
We all
Likewise,
have. I actually wrote a letter to the paper about that right off the bat.
Okay.
There's a gentleman down in Effingham who's a gay man, and he's got pride flags along his property, and they have been torn down. We don't know who's done it. There's been no police conclusion on it, but that's not right. Just as it's not right to rip down a Trump flag or to rip down anybody else's property. If words offend you so much that you cannot drive by a sign without taking some sort of negative action, you need to talk to somebody. We need to pump the brakes and say, whoa, maybe I need to step back from this just for a little bit. We need to find a way. If somebody's threatening you, that is so inappropriate. But at the same time, we need to make sure that what we put out there is an honest representation of what is out there. We don't take a question and turn what the question is and put it with something else. We've got to make sure that we do and we're responsible for those words. If I put out something, you can't take it and put something else around it to change the narrative. So we have to be responsible for how we speak and cognizant of those repercussions and the secondary effects.
Are both of you familiar with the concept has gained some familiarity or popularity in universities and colleges about the free speech zone?
I'm not. Okay. I'm not.
It was raising in like 14 to 16, and then I haven't heard much about it in the last couple of years.
They're still out there to some degree. And a free speech zone basically is a restriction on free speech. You can only go to a certain location and have complete free speech under the Constitution of New Hampshire or the United States. That's why I brought that up in the question when I initially wrote the question.
In some of those cases, you're talking about, and this is so. There was a big thing out in California, and it was protests and counter protests. And personally, for me, I can say what I want, you can say what you want, but all of a sudden we start doing this, and it starts to become troublesome. And the idea was you stand in this box and you stand in this box and you can scream at each other all you want, but don't talk about it anywhere else. And that sort of limits our ability to have those conversations.
Yeah, that seems a little odd to me. We have to be able to have these conversations everywhere. You know, and again, I agree there are limits. We cannot say threatening things. But, you know, if somebody puts something out there, I'm not talking about people in this room, somebody puts something out there that's really outrageous, it's mean, you know what, let it sit out there. People will see it for what it is. Okay. And, you know.
Okay. Well, that basically wraps up our time on the first segment. Segment